The history of African American filmmaking is alongside with history of America's racism and the story of racism in general. The hit film Sinners by Ryan Coogler raises a lot of questions about different oppressed communities coming together in order to stop the greater good of racism. What people don't know about the film is that thanks to the director and writer, Ryan Coogler, and his production team, they pushed out this material to help start a movement to get neglected stories on the big screen to provide awareness to a massive audience. Zurara, who was commander of Prince Henry, wrote a book explaining how owning black people was needed and they needed to be owned, making him the world's first racist. People started to follow these claims and eventually made their own. After all these theories came out, along came a black girl named Phyllis Wheatley. Even though she was enslaved, she was an educated black woman who would write poems which would eventually get published in 1773. Her owner was so surprised by her intelligence that he had people to run tests on her because he could not believe a black person could be literate. These experiments caused white men to think, and they came up with the conclusion that black people weren't born dumb, rather slavery made them dumb. Now you may be wondering, how does all this relate to black filmmaking and the history of black filmmaking? In 1940, Hattie McDaniel was the first African American man or woman to win an Oscar. When she spoke with grace and poise, dispelling all the stereotypes of African Americans. The impact of these racial theories, calling African Americans dirty, dumb, and ugly, were seen as comedies in early films, shown as blackface. In 1915, there was a film that struck the nation called Birth of a Nation. This film encouraged people to view the KKK as heroes instead of viewing them as villains. Also around this time, a man named Oscar Micheaux was the first African American to ever produce a film. Alongside Oscar were two brothers named Noble and George Johnson who started their own film company called Lincoln Studios. This film company was created to portray African Americans in roles that did not acknowledge racist African American stereotypes. Back in Hollywood, around the 1930s to the 1950s, African American characters were often regulated to stereotypical roles, typically portraying characters like nurses, comedians, or criminals. Similar to Hattie McDaniel, a black woman named Zora Neale Hurston was able to go down to the South and collect data from other African Americans. Thanks to her, she was able to show African Americans in a different light. Similar to Hattie McDaniel, Sidney Poitier was the first African American male to win an Oscar for Best Actor, and was the first black actor to be seen in white people's eyes as one of them. Coming into the 1970s was an impactful director named Melvin Van Peebles. He was a black director who was known for bringing black stories and themes into mainstream media. The first film up is a coming-of-age story called Cooley High, directed by Michael Schultz. This film provides a realistic portrayal of black urban life in Chicago set in the 1960s. This film shows how systematic poverty and lack of opportunities affect young black men. This film also shows the tension between youthful dreams and the harsh realities of life. Most importantly, this film shows black people without including meaningless stereotypes. The next film is another coming-of-age film called The Wood, directed by Rick Famuyiwa. This film follows three black friends from kids into adulthood. This film portrays male bonding without adding any toxic stereotypes. This movie shows the challenges of growing up in a predominantly black community, aka Inglewood, with economic and social pressures. This film critiques society's expectations of black masculinity, showing how black men navigate emotions. Most importantly, this film shows black people without including meaningless stereotypes. The last film we will be discussing is a film called Moonlight by Barry Jenkins. The film discusses the challenges of figuring out how a gay black kid can belong in the world. The main character's journey shows the strength of a black man that includes sensitivity, tenderness, and being vulnerable. Throughout the main character's environment, the film highlights how cycles of addiction and economic trials shape lives and can throw away opportunities. Most importantly, this film shows black people without including meaningless stereotypes. In conclusion, we can see how the history of racism and the history of black filmmaking parallel, and how the same stereotypes and depictions of racism fell into America, especially black cinema, and how we overcame them.